Welcome back to Cct-Gh. Let us discuss the demands to the political parties on education delivery in Ghana for consideration and incorporation to the political parties manifesto for 2024. So, in 2024, Nagrat and Cct, the teacher unions in Ghana for the pre-tertiary education, have changed the narrative over the years. The political parties would bring out their manifestos indicating what they want to do for teachers and the educational sector as well. But this time around, the three teacher unions sat down to make their proposal first. So, their aim is that before the political parties create or draft their manifestos, they will incorporate these demands into their manifesto before their final draft is made. So let us specifically exploit the list of demands for teachers. There are other demands, right? There are other demands and there are issues that it talks about. It talks about the curriculum reform with relevant inclusiveness and a lot of others. But what we will look at is the demand for teachers. The demand for teachers. Mostly when it happens like this, teachers are taken afar. So a general overview or a general draft will be made for the educational sector, not necessarily concentrating on teachers. But this time around, the political parties must incorporate this in their manifesto. So if you scroll down to point 4.0, the teacher factor. So the teacher unions define who a teacher is. So we define a teacher as a person who has undergone and successfully completed an approved training for teachers and awarded a degree, diploma, or certificate by an institution or body recognized by the Ghana Education Service Council and licensed by the National Teaching Council, hence qualified to teach in a public school in Ghana. Note sadly, however, that over the decade, policies relating to training, management, remuneration, and welfare of teachers are enjoined by the GES condition of service have not been implemented fully and effectively. The inequality in teacher deployment, coupled with the unattractive conditions of service and welfare scheme for teachers, have resulted in high attrition. So, according to the NTC, over 10,000 teachers left the country to the UK to teach through the qualified teacher status. You can find more on these on Seekers News GH. Here are the demands for teachers. 1. The collective agreement for teachers be fully implemented and condition of service improved to attract and retain teachers. So the collective agreement is there, an agreement between the teachers and the GES, their employer, and government. There are conditions of service that are outlined. If you do this, this will be given to you. Car allowance will be given to you. Other responsibility allowance. Teachers in rural areas will be given allowance. But these allowances, according to teachers, are not paid. And that is why the teacher union have to deliberately ask the political parties to incorporate this in their manifesto. They should talk about it. They should tell us, teachers, their stand on this. A scheme of service manual be provided as a framework to facilitate or guide recruitment, replacement, development, career progression, and improvement of job performance of teachers. So a scheme of service manual tells after college, teachers will be recruited a month or two. Not that teachers will graduate and sit at home. If you do educational courses geared towards teaching, after you have obtained your license, the GES will employ you within a month or two. There should be a manual for this. This is very important. In terms of replacement of teachers, you don't wait or you don't do a backdoor of recruitment. If there are teachers that have left the service, like the NTC stated earlier, there should be a way, a manual that explains how these teachers would be replaced. So the work environment must also be provided in such a way that teachers can work effectively and efficiently. If you see some classrooms and you have spent so much money on your ward to school and they tell you to allow your child to go and teach in those places, you will not agree. And therefore, there is the need for a government to deliberately make the learning environment beautiful, conducive, attractive for both learners and teachers. On 4.4, it talks about teacher motivation. Teachers should be motivated to entice teachers to where they are needed most and be useful. There are some schools, before you get there, you must cross river. Some schools, if you look at the building, you'll never go there again. If the condition of service is improved, everyone, one way or the other, would want the child to be a teacher. A very noble profession, beautiful profession, lovely profession. Allowance for teachers serving in deprived areas be implemented. So you see, it is here again. Allowance for teachers serving in deprived areas. Yes, some teachers have to cross rivers before they get. Teachers swim to school. There was a publication on CKS about the head teacher who swam to school every day. All these must be addressed. If there are proper allowances, whoever you post there will be able to go. If there is a need for the teacher to purchase a boat or a canoe to be able to get there, the teacher will do so. Allowances be paid to attract and retain teachers in specialized subject areas. You go to certain school, they lack physics teacher, they don't have chemistry teacher. Yes, with certain special subjects, the teachers are lacking. So in these areas, the GES and the government can come together and decide, okay, we are going to give a special allowance for teachers in these areas, so that even if you go to other field, right, it will just be equally accepted, or you have the same benefits in being in GES. Not that if you are in GES with the same qualification as somebody in another field, you will be depriving yourself, or you will be at the lowest chain of allowances. every school to have the needed accommodation attached for teachers. Yes, when it comes to teacher motivation, accommodation, these are the key things. You went to school in Cape Coast, University of Cape Coast. You went to school somewhere in Winneba, UEW, or Legon, and you are posted to Nyanyakba village, or even Rara. It's a big town. You go there and there's no accommodation. How are you going to accommodate yourself? Or let's just assume that you have been posted to Presec Legon. Where do you think you are going to rent? Around Legon? Can you, as a newly recruited teacher? So there should be accommodation in schools so that teachers can find their way easily. When it comes to teacher deployment must be done to match the need of school and to ensure equity in teacher supply across the country. So with equity, you share it in a way that those who are in need will get more. Those who are in need will get more. Those who have will get less. So a school where there are enough teachers, you share and then you give them 3 teachers, maybe extra. Then teach schools that don't have the teachers, you push more there. Not because you have to share teachers 10 across board. So even when they are overstaffed, you still push them there. Or teachers do protocol to these institutions that they think are better off than the others. It shouldn't be so. There must be equity in deployment of teacher. Manpower audits of education offices and schools be conducted periodically with emphasis on schools in urban areas to right-size the number of teachers working in the offices and excess staff deployed to the classroom. So when you go to all those that you see at the education offices, so metro education office, district education office, regional education office, all these people, majority 90% are teachers. Now, periodic auditing must be done in such a way that those who may be overstaffed can be redeployed back into the classroom and have the same benefits as those at the offices. So there should be nothing different from as in being at the office and also being in the classroom. In fact, the teaching should be more attractive so that everybody would want to be in the classroom to improve learning. Teachers be distributed equitably to the urban and rural areas to address the urban-rural inequality in teacher distribution. There was a publication where a whole school of primary 1 to primary 6 had only one master, and he had to take them through. So he would go and teach class 1 small, go to class 2, teach small, class 3, teach small, and then move on. Right. It's because teachers that are posted there, when they come, they see the states of the school and they never return. Possibly they will do reposting or something else, or they will just leave the service. They will just not join the service because of these things. So when they are posting teachers, they must be posted well, there must be accommodation, there must be extra allowance. In that way, the goal is service to the nation. You go there, within 4 years, You can apply for study leave or scholarship and move on like that. Then the use of transfer and reposting as a means of coercing school heads, union leaders, and classroom teachers and employees who engage in genuine professional discourse into quietude and submission ceases. So when there's a talk on free SHS, it's a government heart baby project. You must agree to everything government says. That is just an example. No, we are all learners, or we are all learned colleagues. And if you should see something as a teacher that it is not going well, you should be able to voice out without the fear of intimidation. And with GES, the intimidation will be reposting, or if you are ahead, they will just demote you to some class 6 or class 7 and basic 7, and then you go and then teach over there, which shouldn't be so. They shouldn't repost you. When you say something, let's look at the facts, use the facts. So free SHS is good. It has made a lot of students go to school. It is good on these basis and that basis. But it can also be improved. I think that then you add your points. And because you have been able to make these points, it's an educational discourse. You should not be intimidated because you did not agree with government. You should be sidelined. You should be taken from your position, or you should be reposted to a village somewhere. No, it shouldn't be so. So the union is re-echoing this into the political parties, the NPP and the NDC, to deliberately incorporate this in their manifesto. Talk about it. They must talk about it. That, okay, we promise that when we come to power, we will not use this method of intimidation, reposting teachers, demoting teachers as a way of punishing teachers. And if you make genuine, intelligent discourse, it would rather be what? Be considered. Something like that. There is also a continuous demand to commiserate salary increment for teachers following the increase in contact and working hours arising out of the implementation of the free SHS or TVET policy. So as a result of the free SHS and TVET policy, there has been an increase in contact hours. So teachers now have to teach long hours. Are there any compensations for this? There must be. So the teacher union, the 3 teacher union, Nagrat And Cct-Gh, deliberately talk about this and increase allowances, provide the necessary allowances for teachers that are affected. In Zambia, there is what is called the double class allowance. The double class allowance is given to teachers for extra work. There is a number of students that have to be in a particular class. In Ghana, it's 35 per class. So if it is more, those classes must be splitted. And if they are splitted, you are teaching more than one class, you must be giving allowance for double class. Other countries, not necessarily that the number is large, but because you have to prepare separate notes to teach these classes, you are giving allowance as well. So when the workload become more, there must be extra allowance for teachers. Regular in-service training and retraining for GES staff with the GES assuming responsibility for all expenses pertaining to such workshop as enjoined by the Section 15.3 II of the Collective Agreement. So, did you know that immediately you are recruited, the GES is to train you again, give you aquaba training, right? Unfortunately, sometimes the teacher unions take this upon themselves to do it. Yes, and when you are in a service, there's the need for continuous professional development. The GES take charge of these and train teachers again. So with the NTC training courses, CPD training courses, and the rest, mostly they are supposed to be done by the GES, the PLC sections, the professional learning community sections that are happening in schools. Now, all expenses on GES, and it must be well organized, and the GES must take full action. And who empowers the GES? From the top. So the political parties must deliberately talk about it, that this is what we have for you, this is what we are going to do. We agree that when we come to power, any GES, any training of teachers, we are going to take it and pay teachers some allowance, give teachers some snack. If it have to be at a long or a far end or a different location, then we are going to provide accommodation to the teachers. Beautiful. Make the service beautiful, enjoyable. When teachers smile, students will always pass. There should be full implementation of the 35 people in a class to a teacher at the basic level GES policy on people-teacher ratio, PRT. So as I said earlier, in a class you have to get 35 students, but you go to a class and there are about 100 students in a class, and 60 students, 40 students, and more. Now, if you even want to implement the cross-cutting issues, you want to implement Jesse, you want to implement Cell, you want to do 21st century skills, you want to incorporate ICT, it becomes very difficult. Mixed grouping becomes very difficult because after you have grouped them, there'll be no place to pass. You can't inspect work, you can't do quality check on these students. So 35 students is okay. You arrange them, you do number head, put them in better grouping system, and they are good to go. So the GES must implement this. But who can allow this to happen? When president says it, when minister says it, when director general says it, then it will be implemented. So the teacher unions are re-echoing this to the political parties as they draft their manifesto. They should quickly put this in. Then appropriate and effective mode of licensing of teachers be put in place to bring them a par to or with their counterpart elsewhere. So the teacher licensing, what the NTC is doing, so nobody is going to cancel it. Nobody is saying it should be cancelled for teacher licensing. Every teacher must be licensed, but there are way it can be incorporated into the final year examination. It can be done so well so that if you are teaching in Ghana and you are taking to UK, you can still teach because of your qualification. If you are taking to the US, you can teach. If you are taking to Ukraine, you can still teach because of your qualification and your licensing. You are licensed. All right. So this thing must also be spoken of by the political parties in their manifesto. When we go to the educational sector or education policies, we should see things like this there. GES to ensure full implementation of provisions on teacher promotion as it is in the collective agreement. So when it comes to full implementation of teacher promotion, so teachers will be promoted every 4 years. How is the promotions going to be done, and who qualifies? It should be done well. Not for over 10 years somebody has not been promoted because there's no better policy. Not that when people are promoted they won't be put on skill. No, it shouldn't be like that. If you are promoted, you must be put on skill. There must be a policy. So the educational experts in both MPP and NDC should sit down and draft a beautiful one. The more better and honest one you have drafted, the more teachers are going to agree with you and vote for you. There is also a full, quick, good demand here on 5.4.5. Right. A health insurance for sick teachers, or for teachers in particular. So aside the national health insurance, the teacher unions are also demanding that the political parties deliberately propose and agree or create a special health insurance for teachers, so that if a teacher is sick based on this and that, the teacher can get this special allowance or can be treated based on this special health insurance. It is number one, and no teacher is going to joke with this. And also that every teacher benefit from a scholarship scheme for at least 2 of his or her wards up to the tertiary level. So a teacher's child cannot attend university because teacher may be broke. Yes, but if the conditions of service and everything is implemented well, teachers will be able to take care of themselves very well, super well, teach very well, students will pass very well, students will have better citizens, global citizens, students that have their country at heart, students that are critical thinkers, because teachers are going to devote 100% of their time to them. And one of it is providing scholarship to their children, so that at least 2 of them will be able to go to the tertiary. If you have 2-3 children going to the tertiary, deduct that from your salary or even your savings and see how much is left. Your child may not be able to go to the university as a teacher. This should be a thing of the past. As 2024, the political parties are going to talk about the scholarship and they are going to implement it. Oh yes, there's a way. And then we will also have, teachers will also have a way to do what is called the fidelity of implementation, FOI. We will do the fidelity of implementation, how well they are implementing the policies and how well they are going to continue to implement these policies. So a teacher's child must be given a scholarship, a housing scheme for teachers to address their accommodation needs. So a teacher will rent. So you rent, then at the end of the month, you are not also giving rent allowance. Those who don't rent in the same public sector, they are giving bungalows and they are also giving rent allowance. So teachers must be given what? A housing scheme, a rent allowance, or an accommodation for all teachers. Right. The the government promised to build some housing unit for teachers. It has not yet materialized. Definitely it will be done before 2024. If not, they implement it, they should talk about it. So Dr. Mahmoud Malmia should talk about it. His Excellency former President John Dramani Mahama should also talk about it deliberately, that I am going to give the Saglami housing unit to teachers, or I'm going to build a replica of the Saglami housing unit structures for teachers in every school, or I'm going to build an apartment. You see, and this can be done even without so much burden on government. Do you get it? Yeah. So there should be an auto loan policy for teachers, especially those in the rural areas, to enable them acquire vehicles and motorbikes to facilitate their movement and enhance their social status. Teacher. If you see a teacher's, okay, I'll not make that comment. Right, sometimes teachers have walked, and if you see the shoe, the way friction has taken charge of it, you'll be sorry. Right. So if a teacher has a car or a motorbike, a decent living, right, nobody will stand on social media and say, I'll never marry a teacher. What? Will you get a teacher to marry? Right. So the profession is good, everything is good, but what some 1 2 that have to be added to make it complete are the problem. So make it attractive, make it beautiful, make your children feel proud. You see, oh, that is my teacher going. He's driving at least some small car, right? A Mini Cooper car provided by Kantanka Group can be. Or if I want to buy Toyota Vets, I should be able to buy that as a teacher. But with the current status, how much is even Toyota Vets? And what is the maximum loan you can take? No, it shouldn't be. Just as the ministers are giving special loans to buy the V8s, teachers can also be given special loans to also buy just a Mini Cooper car, or can buy just a Toyota Vit or Corolla or something small to move around, or a bicycle to move around, or if it's a canoe to cross a river and go and teach. The E talks about the provision of jackets for teachers on the island communities. It is sad to see that a teacher has passed away because the boat capsized, and that is the end. No, it shouldn't be like that. Nothing of the sort should happen. Teachers must be well treated. There should be life jackets at these areas provided by the Ghana Education Service, provided by government, provided by the Ministry of Education. So the political parties talk about it, call your experts, talk about it, and agree. Okay, Yajatum, we promise we'll do it. Not just we promise by mouth, but we promise, and you sign. You come and sign. We'll call you to come and sign. Come and sign a binding document. You come and sign that if you are not able to do it, you will do so and so to your party, and that will be a problem. So the next one is prompt payment of salaries and accumulated arrears of newly posted teachers. When teachers are posted, there should be a maximum criteria, 3 months maximum. Your document to be processed and your payment to be done. Not that teachers will come and work for 9 months, 8 months, 12 months, and 3 months to be paid, and the rest they will throw it away. In recent news, 2022 teachers that were recruited, some part has been paid and some were not paid. And the teacher unions have taken this on and have asked the Ghana Education Service and the government to make payment to these teachers. Such issues shouldn't be coming up in future, and that is why the teacher unions have brought up this proposal. So let's look at it carefully and analyze it. Then the waiver of the 3% controller issue, that is the teacher union issue, so that they can make the deductions and the deductions will come down. So if the dues is 58 cedis, because of the 3% charge, that is why it is like that. But if the 3% charge is not there, it can be even down like a 40 cedis deduction, right? Waiver of duties on vehicles imported by teachers with engine capacity not exceeding 2.0. So if a teacher is buying a car, the duties on it must be taken off. For teachers, government workers, public sector workers, teachers in particular. So with 2.0 engine capacity, it's just for small rounds. So these can be done for teachers. This can be done for teachers. The attachment of duty post accommodation for teachers to classroom blocks constructed in the rural areas. So when you build any building, that will be done, school building, construction of a school block, there must be a bungalow for a teachers also attached. So when the plan is done, okay, so we are building this from here to here, which is classroom block. So from here to here to is going to be the teacher's bungalow, and nothing less. Honoring and executing all other provisions and stipulations of the collective agreement as negotiated between the teacher unions and the Fair Wages and Salary Commission, not covered in this document, to the mutual benefit of both parties and the good of Mother Ghana. So the collective agreement spells out all the good conditions or all the benefits and allowances teachers will enjoy, and what the teacher is supposed to do, the leaves and all that, the promotion and everything. Now that document will be drafted. In recent news, the teacher unions have worked on it. They have drafted a new one. It's just left with agreement and it will be published. And when it's accepted, all governments must bind to this document and make sure that if it's a 10 pesos allowance to be paid to teachers, must be paid. Not that it will be lying there in the books and teachers will be also lying somewhere and crying. All allowance must be pegged and paid monthly to the teachers. And then when teacher is happy, there's better improvement of service, there's learning that take place. We have our global citizen. Students become workable because the teachers open their heart extra to teach and add other things to make them progress. This was issued by the Pre-Tertiary Education Teacher Unions in Ghana and signed by Thomas Tanku Musa, General Secretary of Gnat, Eric A. Kabonu of Nagrat, the Nagrat President, then King Ali Awudi, President of Cct-Gh, dated 26 February 2024, before the political parties come to read their manifesto. Currently, we believe that they are drafting it. So they are the educational sector area. Please insert this one and tell us something nice about this, that you have agreed and you are going to provide all these scholarship, the allowances and everything. Now, the collective agreement, when it come into force, definitely the old one has expired. So the new one will take effect January 2024 effective date. Whatever allowance is there, it must be paid. It must be paid with wholeheartedness by government, with no hide and seek matters. All right. So this is brought to you by Seekers News GH. Please subscribe to this our YouTube channel solely for educational purposes. And you can also visit our website on www.seekersnewsgh.com to download these document file, all for teachers. Thank you.